Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all genders, it is I, the Rev Dude, live here as always on Riverside. And today, I have something a little special for you for the podcast. Let me introduce, and here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all genders, clear the top rope. Brace yourselves. Gravity just filed a restraining order. She doesn't walk to the ring, she falls into it with style. From the highest cages, to the tallest ladders, to the most unhinged structures, she launches herself like a missile fueled by pure spite. The bosses call her a hazard. The roster calls her nightmare fuel. But the fans call her the troublemaker. Balanced on the edge, ready to dive headfirst into chaos, one truth rises above all. She is Daredevil, the woman without fear. She is relentless. She is your high-flying, death-defying, avenging angel of anarchy, Shannon LeVangie.
Wow. That might be the greatest introduction I've ever gotten. That was amazing. I love that.
Woo! With that being said, Shannon, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Right? And putting up with my shenanigans, right? So
There we go.
I literally have been working on that for a little bit. So I had to put it together. I had to mess with it, probably pick it apart 55 times because that's just the way my brain works. Perfectionism is a disease, folks. You don't want it. You don't need it. Be good enough for yourself and move on with your life, all right?
It was great. You killed it.
Thank you. So, as always, as I like to say, welcome to the podcast. We are going to explore, which is say, the life through the lens of our special guest, Shannon LeVangie. So, I decided to come at you with a curveball, mostly because I know the fact that little JJ's ears are wide open, right? So, for anybody who's been on the podcast before, right, they would know that normally when I talk about stuff, I talk about men's mental health. Guess what? The Children of the All-Father are now going to be offering women services as well. We're going to be welcoming all genders into the house. So I wanted to make that special announcement right here with Shannon LeVangie, and I'm very excited to say that.
That's awesome to hear. No, thank you for sharing that. I'm honored I got to be a part of that. So that's really awesome to hear.
Thank you so much. You know, the biggest part about this, right? And this is something that we kind of touched a minute ago for anybody who hasn't seen it, go see JJ's Rainbow Rumble with Shannon. She just did a great interview. My thing, and we have you've talked about John Cena, right? You've talked about your love of John Cena, and he's the GOAT, right? He's the GOAT. Love him, retired. There is some other very special connections that are out there in the universe, right? For anybody who's a fan of the WWE, you would have seen a very young AJ Lee meet Lita, right? And now where's AJ Lee? You would have seen a very young Roxanne Perez actually meet AJ Lee. Full circle there. You would have seen a very young Izzy Moreno, whom you're actually getting to wrestle in a few weeks, and we cannot wait for that, by the way. Very excited in this one. At Focus Pro Wrestling, January 11th, Saturday. Braintree, Massachusetts, Widowmaker Brewing Company. Go get your tickets now, folks. This is going to be a showstopper. It will be the main event. Not necessarily, but it's going to be amazing. All right? It's going to be amazing. All right. With that being said, once again, hopefully later on, young JJ doesn't punch me for this one. But she has expressed interest in the wrestling business, right? And we talked about, once again, I just mentioned those specific things. And maybe this is something that you've never thought about, and that's why I wanted to come out with a curveball, right? Myself, and I'm going to make sure I say this. I'm 40 years old, Don't look too bad for 40, guys. All right. Eat vegan. All right. So I'm 40 years old. I've been a wrestling fan since birth. All right. I've been watching wrestling, especially old school WWF, old school WCW, since the 80s. All right. So I've seen a lot of people come and go in the business. I've seen a lot of people get that bug. Myself, when I was 13, I got that bug. And the only thing that really stopped me from ever being in the business so far was responsibility. I had a lot of them. I was a not so bright kid who had a child at 16. Didn't work out so well for me. But the reason why I point this out is because the glimmer in my daughter's eye is no different from the glimmer I've seen in other people's. And I wonder, Shannon, this is my first question for you. If and when my daughter catches that bug, do you think you might still be around to teach her a few things in between those ropes?
I sure hope so, and I think there's a very good possibility. I mean, I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. I want to stay in wrestling for a long time, so I'm very hopeful that I will still be around. And if JJ does decide to hop in the ring, I would be more than happy to teach her a little bit of what I know and help her out. And, maybe one day we'll get to, wrestle each other in a match. I think that would
There
be
you
really
go.
awesome.
Very exciting. Very exciting for me as a father. And not to put that on you specifically, but because, each person's in charge of their own life. But the way she respects you, the way she looks up to you, the way she idolizes you, right? To me, I see that's the same glimmer I saw in the pictures of the videos of young AG Lee, right? The videos of a young Roxanne Perez, the videos of a young Izzy Moreno, right? That's that same thing. And she doesn't quite have it there yet. And she said no 5,000 times, especially yesterday when I asked her. But there's just a little intuition that, especially because she definitely wants to go and check out the New England Pro Wrestling Academy with me at one point. So I just have an inclination, a little father's feeling, or so to speak, that maybe she might catch that bug. It might be contagious, and when she's down there, she might be like, "So," you know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know, but the great thing is wrestling is always going to be there. So whether you catch that bug soon or maybe it's years down the line or maybe you don't catch it, but wrestling's always there. It's always an option. So whenever
Always.
or if that time comes, it'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oof, I've been wanting to say that for weeks. Especially when we see you like twice a month now, or if not more, depending on where else you're wrestling, right? So chaotic, rad pro, you're back in focus pro, various things in Rhode Island and Connecticut that sometimes we make it to if we can. So depending on timing and just logistics, because like sometimes driving 3 hours and getting home at 1 in the morning is a bit obnoxious.
Mm,
So
yeah, I get that. It is.
so all right. With that being said, once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this with me. I sent you a topic that I wanted to punch right into. Right. Originally, I told myself, let's back into it a little bit, right? But I'm gonna punch right into it, and I'm gonna and maybe it's listening to Eric Bischoff one too many times. Controversy creates cash. All right, but I and maybe I should preface this. You said you started watching wrestling. What was it, like 2012?
It was 2016, so I was
2016.
like 14 years old at the time.
Okay, I'm a dinosaur. I get it. um, so because anytime you say these type of things on the internet, someone somewhere is like, "Well, you weren't there. You don't understand. You weren't there. You don't understand. You weren't there." And I could see, especially with a lot of the crop, whether I've talked to yourself, Luke. I've had great conversations with Sean. Sean was on the show. All Go Nelly was just on the show. A lot of you guys are so much younger than me, right? So it would make sense if whatever. But not to say that we have to set up street cred for a bunch of people on the internet, but just to make it abundantly clear, once again, I was born in 1985, been watching this stuff since I was a kid. My eldest son's name is Sean Austin. I named him after Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right? If you were to ask me my Mount Rushmore as of right now today, it's got to be Hulk Hogan because of what he did. Even if outside the ring he was a little much, I get it. In that ring, what he did is revolutionary. It's got to be Ric Flair. Styling and profiling, right? If I could wear those gator shoes every day, well, maybe not gator because I'm a vegan, but the money, the watches, all that stuff, I love that guy, right? Once again, outside of the ring, shenanigans, okay. And then I got to go Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin because Shawn Michaels taught me at a very young age when I got picked on and bullied that even the small guy can still kick you in the face and it's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And during my teenager years, Stone Cold Steve Austin taught me that you can tell the authority that, no, you're not coming in. All right? Changed my life. So when I say that I lived through watching wrestling, especially from the 90s until now, I can distinctly make this claim, right? And some people are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy rambling about? And you're probably not wrong. I'm a crazy person. However, I would say, and you said 2016, so that's a good time. I would say that the black and gold NXT is probably just as good and or better than the Attitude Era.
I kind of like that claim. I mean, I obviously didn't watch a ton of the Attitude Era. Like I've gone back and seen matches from it. I know like kind of the like main points, like
Right.
The Rock,
The
Stone Cold, like all
ministry, yeah.
right.
The corporate ministry, the corporation, the kidnapping of Stephanie McMahon.
Exactly.
People,
Like, I
I
know
watched it
about
all.
all that,
Right.
but I haven't like watched it enough to say whether or not I think like I can agree. However, Black and Gold NXT is insane. Like you have so many incredible matches, incredible feuds from that time that I don't find it hard to believe that it may have been just as good or better than the Attitude Era. So I don't think that's too much of a crazy claim to make.
Right. Shout out to what was it, Tommy Penmanship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tommaso Ciampa, right? Nepwa, Chaotic
Yep.
Wrestling, there you go. Um, and some people might be like, well, why in the hell would this guy who lived through it, he's supposed to be on our side, he named his son Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why in the damn hell did he betray us and say that Black and Cold is better? And I'm going to answer that question, right? Because when you evaluate something, in my opinion at least, you should evaluate all parts, the entire sum of it. And there is, for my opinion, whether it's WCW in the Monday Night War or it was WWF in the Monday Night War, there is a particular part of that time frame when I go back as an adult now, makes me cringe, makes me want to puke. And I know there might be some feminists out there going like, we don't need a man to stand up for us. Good for you, sister. I get it. However, for me, as the father of a JJ, I have to say it. All right? Women's wrestling deserved better. Women deserved better than to be treated like objects for some, allegedly, for some man's desires. The fact that someone like Molly Holly had to shave her head just so she can not get her match cut on WrestleMania is absolute proof of what I'm saying. So as much as the men did really well and flourished between 1995 and 2002, the women were treated like trash. And some might say, oh, well, that's because the women they had weren't very good wrestlers. And I would say, you're not wrong. Because they weren't hiring actual wrestlers for the most part. They were hiring models. Ooh! Bull Nakano was incredible. Did you miss New Japan in the 90s? Those women were putting on bangers, okay? Medusa, Alundra Blaze, Sherry Martel, they knew how to wrestle, all right? But they were not given the platform to do so. Thank God for NXT Black and Gold, because now, and you can tell me I'm wrong here, thanks to the women's revolution, women got to prove that they are just as good, if not sometimes better than the men. Better than the men. Come at me, bro. Just bring it. And thanks to that, we have things like the Chaotic Panoptic Championship. We have people like Shannon LeVangie, who are incredibly talented and on a weekly basis will blow your goddamn mind if you just watch her for 2 damn seconds in that ring. Shannon, your thoughts?
No, I think you bring up a great point. Like I said, I started watching in 2016, which was during the Women's Revolution. That was the year that they changed the Divas title to the Women's title. That was when like you had Sasha Banks and Bayley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. They came up to the main roster, and that's kind of when like things started really to make a change. And seeing that happen as I was getting into wrestling is what like captivated me so much and made me want to become a wrestler. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I had started watching earlier. I don't know if I would have had that same drive to become a wrestler. Maybe I would have. I don't know because I didn't start watching earlier. But if I had, I don't know, seeing how the women like were treated, how they would have like not much time to wrestle, their matches would get cut a lot. I don't know if it's necessarily something that I would have wanted to pursue, seeing how they were treated, but being able to like start watching when the women were starting to take over, they were starting to be in main events, they were starting to have these, matches, the Money in the Bank, the Royal Rumble, stuff that they didn't have for such a long time. I think that's a big reason why I wanted to become a wrestler, and I'm very happy that, the women have come such a long way and they're finally like getting those opportunities and getting the respect that they deserve. Because I do think way before, like you're saying during the Attitude Era, like there were women who had the capabilities. It's just a
Exactly.
matter of they weren't given the opportunities. So
Exactly.
it is awesome seeing those opportunities, and now I'm in positions where I'm getting opportunities to do this stuff, which if it weren't for the women's revolution, might not be the case today. So I think that it's a great point to bring up.
Yeah, and I know there might be a few of my old friends that were like, "Hey, bro, I was there at WWF No Mercy 2000, and you got pretty excited when they had the mud match." Yeah, but I was also like a 14-year-old kid. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Some of us mature with age. Ever think of that? Some of us mature with age. So as much as that was kind of exciting for a 14-year-old boy that had his hormones left, right, and center, all right, myself as a grown man who can, I don't know, control his emotions sometimes, maybe, could look back on that stuff and be cringed out. Bra and panties matches. Once again, the fact that the women have to get down to underwear to be taken to even get on the show, I don't see why a young girl back in the 90s or the early 2000s would have wanted to be like, oh, so the men get to go off and do all this cool stuff and the women just have to go into a pudding match? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's an unequal there's an imbalance of power, I should say. And I am happy that it is maybe not perfect, right? But we get women like you out there in the universe who are phenomenal. Phenomenal. I'm just I don't know if we're allowed to bring up that word, all right? But I put this in there was this almost this joke, and I'll have to send you the video later for better context here. But there was a joke that came between me and JJ that turned into this thought process. And then which is why I messaged you this previously, because if you're going to start going down the rabbit hole, right? Someone should probably know they're going along for the ride, right? What is this crazy guy screaming about? The and actually one more thing to caveat before I finish that. Because some people might say, oh, well, he's dismissing the women who did that stuff. Actually, not at all. I think those women are brave. I commend those women for putting up with all the bullshit they had to just to get on the fucking show to begin with. Pardon my French, thank God I can edit that out later. But I am proud of all of you who had to, oh, they're just going to hire me and force me to wrestle. Okay, all right. Trish Stratus, Lita, holy shit, right? There have been some incredible women that have put on amazing matches, despite the fact that they were given 4 minutes, and they inspired generations after them. And my hat is off to them. Chyna, Joni Laura, who is from here in New Hampshire, not too far down the road. All right? Incredible. Not too many women can say they actually held the men's Intercontinental Championship, right? And she damn well deserved that belt. All right? So, with that being said, just in case anybody's like, oh, well, you hear what he's saying over there. He's saying these women were... No, I'm not saying those women weren't good. I was saying they were treated unfairly. All right? Let's back it up a notch and put it in the context. And like you said, maybe you haven't seen a lot of that stuff. You're not missing too much when it comes to the women's side. Maybe some of the Chyna with the DX. Some of the Mark Merrow, Sable fights. That was pretty good. Once you got to Lita and Trish Stratus, then it got to take off finally. But even some of that's a little, I watch old pay-per-views sometimes and I'm just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Embarrassing. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, are we not civilized human beings? Why are you putting 2 grown women in a puddle of mud? What is going on here? This is a life. Oh, embarrassing. All right. So with that rant out of the way, right? My thing is this. I got to see Rad Pro Wrestling. All right. There is a little person named Eyeless. All right. The presence, the ambiance, the effect on that room when Eyeless came in the ring. Like, came in the room, came in the ring. It was almost like a deafening silence, right? If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, go back and see the pictures. I think I took a couple of good ones, by the way. My mind in that particular moment, and for anybody for the uninitiated, Rad Pro Wrestling is also part of the New England, the NEPWA, right? The New England, Jesus Christ, Wrestling, the school, right? The NEPWA school, but it's ran by Scott, if I'm not mistaken, yes. Right? So Scott runs that, genius guy, all right? And they pretend like it's 1996, and it's this real great atmosphere of let's drink Surge and Mountain Dew, do the do, baby, right? Let's go extreme. And we went and we saw the last show, JJ and I, of Rad Pro Wrestling 96. And after that show, I thought to myself, the messed up thing is, here we just had this woman come out and completely own that fucking ring. Own it. Get in the ring with an amazing performer like CJ Cruz. Holy shnikes. Let me tell you. The fact that he jumped out of the ring and landed and there was no one there to catch him. CJ, you wild man, I love you, okay? No, who does that? CJ does that, all right? That's the answer. But the fact that a woman damn near showed that man up on every occasion she could and had the presence and the wherewithal and the character and the drive to put on one of the greatest damn shows I have ever seen in my life live, bar none. I congratulate you.
Thank you, thank you. Eyeless, she's such a unique character, and she's next level. I watched that match, and I'm thinking to myself, I need to be more like Eyeless. She's hard hitting. I need to be as hard hitting as Eyeless because I don't feel like I am. And then I watch her wrestle CJ, and I'm like,
intense.
Yeah,
it's a totally new level, and it's like, holy shit! How did Eyeless find that gear? What the? Where is this? What? My mind was blown. Right? Have you ever seen the show in Community?
No.
Okay. So the reference might be spoiled on you. I'll have to send you a video later. But there's in the show Community, there's basically super handsome Jeff guy that anytime he does something, the dean of the school kind of flips out, right? And that was my brain seeing Ilis doing her thing. I was just like, oh my God, what is going on? Could not fathom it. And how I put these two together is in 1996, a woman would have been fortunate enough to just get on the damn card, let alone be wrestling for the championship. Okay? Two completely different things. Right? Once again, I was thinking about sugarcoating this, and then I was like, nah, it's not my style. I'm a wild man. Let's get to it, right? You want to at me? Come at me, bro. So, and you, I mean, just what was it, 3 weeks ago? We're in the main event. You went off a ladder, through a door, into tax.
Didn't feel good.
I showed that to everybody the next day. I was like, can you believe what I just saw? I can't believe it. Do you see what this woman is doing? Okay? That's like, you want to convert a man to feminism? Show him that fucking thing. All right? Let me just put it down for you. But like, listen, you really think that like you do? Probably not. So maybe you shouldn't be a dick sometimes. Probably take it down a notch, right? So I am just, ah man, I'm really tooting your horn today, I guess. God
Thank
bless.
you. No, I appreciate
I,
it.
this is why it's called Rev's Hype Podcast, because I am hyping up the Shannon LeVangie at this point.
Yup.
You are phenomenal. You are out there crushing it. You are out there doing things that you, quite frankly, deserve to be doing because you earned them. All right, number one. Let me put that out there. But it's unbelievable because most people, let alone women, are like, hey, you see that balcony in the Lowell Auditorium? I'm going to jump off that shit one day. And then you do it.
Yeah. That's that's where my mind goes. I like to think of what's like the craziest thing I can do, and then I go and do it. That's it's as simple as that.
Simple as that. Simple as that. So I would say to back myself down a notch and to bring you in, to squeeze you back in here. With that all being said, of course, how do you feel being the star that you are? I mean, I'm just gonna. What, who doesn't want Shannon LeVangie on their card at this point? To be
No.
quite frank,
Yeah, I'm grateful for all the opportunities I get and to like be in those situations where, you know, Eyeless is in the main event, getting to challenge for the Rab Pro title is super cool. Or being in a ladder match like that and once again in the main event, and it just yeah, it's so cool getting to have those opportunities. I'm grateful for them, and it kind of just shows that like all right, like the hard work is paying off. Other people are seeing it and like letting me show what I can do, and that's kind of all it takes. We're talking about like women getting opportunities. I'm getting opportunities. So that's I'm getting to show what I can do, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't getting the opportunities to be in these situations and be in matches like this. So it is super awesome that, I have people out there who believe in me and believe that I can deliver, that I can do it, and that's what I try to do every time I go out there, deliver and show what I can do.
that's phenomenal. And dare I say, dare I say this? Because technically it has happened, right? TNA did this before. A woman as the world champion. I
Then
I honestly gender out the damn window, all right, for a second here. Your work is incredible. Period. All
thank you.
right. So you as a believable, once again, Mortar, don't come at me, bro. I love you, man. As a believable champion in Chaotic, for me, and I feel like anybody who's followed the product long enough to have a brain, it's believable. Like we'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, of course, So Chaotic, Rad Pro. I know you do Wrestling Open. You do so many shows all over the universe. We saw you in EWA with Adam Booker. Shout out to Booker. What a nice guy he is. Um, but and once again, I say that because Tessa Blanchard was the TNA world champion for a short time in 2019 going into 2020. And we won't go into all the rest of that stuff because that was just crazy shenanigans for sure. But the word of the day is shenanigans. Just going to put it out there.
Yep.
Boom. Um, but do you see yourself being a world champion in one of these places not too shortly? 2026, maybe?
Oh yeah. I mean, just the last chaotic show, I was in a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender for the heavyweight championship. I did not win that match, unfortunately, but I do have my eyes set on becoming the chaotic wrestling heavyweight champion. And even though my last opportunity didn't go as I would have liked, I still have my eyes set on that championship. I mean, you have Davy N. She was the first female to win the heavyweight championship in chaotic, so it's possible. Girls have done it before. Girls
Right.
can do it again. I was the first female to win the New England Championship in Chaotic, so I've kind of, made the impossible possible there. And who's to say I can't do it some more? And Eyeless, I came up short for the Rapro title. Doesn't mean that's my last time I'll be challenging for the title. I can come for it again, and next time I think it'll be a different story. So the sky is the limit, and I want to be at the top, and I'll do what I can to get there. So I definitely think that winning some world titles in my future is definitely very possible.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm sure little fans that are listening in as closely as they can from the crack of their door probably excited to hear that for sure. And I know it's kind of a cliche question to ask to roll into, but you're this teacher, right? And you have these two jobs that I'll say before and I'll say again. The American public education system needs to do a little better, all right? Because I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't know why I would get heat on this one, and if I did, I would once again say just bring it there. Um, Teachers are so undervalued in our society, and it is quite frankly probably as disgusting as the whole other thing I just talked about. Like in my personal opinion, the fact that here you are and you have the American educators. These are the people that you have trusted your children for upwards of 13 years, possibly, in the American education system. And we don't pay them very well. We work them to the goddamn bone. And then we pretend like they're the problem somehow. With that being said, all right, with that being said, first of all, I have to say thank you for doing the job because I don't even know why anybody fucking does it at this point. I'll be honest with you. And for all the educators out there who do actually do it and they love it, and I know you seem to love what you do. All right, I just want to say on behalf of all the intelligent parents of America, thank you. Okay, genuine appreciation and thank you for caring about the children when most people have left them behind. I can't say that enough. Being the parent of three children, um, I genuinely appreciate the things that you guys do for us, right?
Well, thank
So,
you. No, it's really awesome hearing that and always, seeing people value what teachers do.
I mean, someone's got to do it, right? Someone needs to give these people their due, okay? And they deal with the people. Someone's like, oh, well, I don't know if they're so good. Like, do you want to deal with your kids for 8 hours a day? No, you don't. So shush, and you thank a teacher right now, bro, and not just some Apple BS. You thank her, him, her, whatever it is. You thank them, okay? Get it together. All right. So once again, super hype man on a roll.
You are.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you are.
I I I'm a freight train, my friend. I'm a freight train. You need a hype man all day. That's what I do. So breaking down into it, right? We established the wrestling, we established the education. My question to you is, how the hell do you balance that? Honestly.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time management. I was fortunate, growing up that I always did sports, so I kind of learned from a young age how to balance like school and homework and sports, and so that kind of carried over when I started wrestling. So when I was still, because I started wrestling when I was in college, so I'd try to like, plan my class schedule around wrestling. I would try to stay away from night classes. That way I could go to training. If I knew I had like a free period of time, okay, that's the time where I gotta lock in, get all my homework done, get my studying done. That way I can use later tonight to go train. Or, if I have a weekend full of shows, all right, I gotta get my homework done before the weekend. That way I can go to all these shows and not have to worry about homework. And now that I've graduated school, don't have homework anymore, which, that part's nice. That kind of helps. But yeah, it is nice though that being in an elementary school, the hours do work well with wrestling because obviously in a school you're working Monday through Friday, whatever, 8 a.m. to 3, whatever it is. And then wrestling, typically training is at night, shows are on weekends. So the schedules do work pretty well together, which is nice. I don't have to worry about, working at night because
Right.
you're not in school at night.
Right.
So
So
that really does help. But yeah, and that goes for like any job, not just teaching and wrestling. No matter what job you do, if you're in school still, like it's gonna take time management, and you just gotta, whenever you have that free time to get whatever you need to get done, that's when you gotta lock in so that way you can make it all work. But yeah, like I said, it just goes for any job with wrestling, but if you want it bad enough, you can make it work.
yeah, and that's always a question I like to ask. What would you say to maybe whether you imagine yourself at that age or one of the new kids at Nepwalk? What advice do you give to a rookie starting class?
Um, I would just say like for me, I like very much wanted to graduate college. That was like a goal of mine. So like setting goals outside of wrestling as well as in wrestling, and just thinking, okay, like what are the main things you want to accomplish and what do you need to do to get those done? So sometimes that meant, all right, I knew I wanted to graduate college, obviously. So that meant I had to get good grades. So if that meant, okay, I have a big assignment, you might have to sacrifice, a practice or something like that, to get that done. Or, for instance, at school, a lot of people like going out on weekends. Well, I have shows on weekends. So I had to sacrifice, going out with people and going to show. So I guess just, knowing that there's going to be sacrifices, figuring out what your goals are, what your priorities are, and what you need to do to make all that happen. And then if you kind of have that plan right out of the front, then it kind of makes it easier to adjust and do what you need to do. But if you go in without a plan, then it is pretty hard to balance everything.
Oh, I'm sure. But as a guy with 5 jobs currently, I
Woo.
can certainly agree with you when it comes down to it that um, balance is power. Okay,
Mm-hmm. 5 jobs.
and
Wow.
5 jobs, yeah, 5 jobs. Um, and there's actually one that I want to, if I may, sprinkle on top there. In September, I went to Philadelphia to see HOG, right, wrestling, and it was an incredible match where Bully Ray lost the title in like 30 seconds to Zilla Fatu, and essentially, when I finally got the chance to speak to Zilla Fatu, I asked him about the idea of, when is he going to join the bloodline? To be honest with you, my tribal chief, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief, and he told me one that I literally had to immediately coin and put on the picture after I met him. He said that patience is not a virtue, right? And I was like, hmm? Patience is a strategy. Patience is not a virtue, patience is a strategy. And he proceeded to tell me essentially the idea of balance. Balance is power, right? The idea of getting, similar to what you just said, the whole idea of having a goal, setting the goal, getting to that goal, and keeping your line on there. And he said that he has a goal and he's going to get there when it's his time to get there. So I just throw that on top of there because I thought it was absolutely genius when he said that to me. I was like, shh.
I like
I've quoted him, and I actually quoted Chase in the last one. So Chase gave me another smart one there. Maybe just just to say it one more time, when I talked to Chase Del Monte, for anybody's like, who the hell is Chase? Chase Del Monte. When I talked to Chase Del Monte the first time, he actually gave me I was trying to explain something to him, and he kind of just like cut me off for a second, and he's like, "Listen, let me tell you this one." And he said, in regards to wrestling, right? He said that for those who believe, they need no explanation, and that for those who um, don't believe, no explanation will ever be good enough, anyways. So you don't need to waste your breath. You're already on the boat, kid. And I was like, all right, Chase, you're a smart man.
shout out Chase.
Chase, you're a smart man. So sprinkle a little wisdom on there. Now, with that was honestly the whole thing you just said was just incredible with the goals. Once again, kids, if you believe in yourself and you work hard enough, and as the GOAT would say, you never give up, you'll make it eventually. All right, just boom. I get to do the salute because I was actually in the Army, so ha in your face, America. Um, so we talked about that. We talked about the fact that you're juggling these two incredibly difficult jobs at this particular point, right? You got a match tomorrow at the Open down in Providence, which I wish I could go, but that's when my other 4 and 5 jobs are happening, so I never get to go on those days.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Um, I just and can I just say really quick, Drew, you're a pretty smart guy. All right, the fact that he's making sure to book you. I love the fact that you were in the WWE ID recently. That match. Once again, I know me and JJ, if we had the opportunity, we would have been driving down there to check it out. The most famous in the whole world, White Eagle, or go down to Providence, we'd be checking you out. Um, may I ask how that opportunity, like, how did that feel, right? To be in that match with the rest of those, with that WWE ID? Because I've talked to so many people who wish they could have the opportunity that you had. And I'm curious to ask, like, how did it feel?
It was great. Like when that, opportunity was presented to me, I was ecstatic. And I talked about before, like being grateful for opportunities. Like that was such a huge opportunity that was presented to me, and like I was honored that I was even considered for that match. And yeah, getting to be in it with like other amazing women, and then also the fact that it was at Open, somewhere that I wrestle very regularly. So in a
Right.
way, kind of having that like
Home
home
field.
turf advantage, because the fans in Rhode Island, like they see me not every week, but like almost every week. So
Right.
they're familiar with me. They weren't familiar with everyone in the match, so like it did give me that advantage that, they like me, so I kind of, had the fans behind me in that match. But just yeah, being able to wrestle with those other women who were all amazing and get to say that now that I fought for a WWE title is it's awesome. So even though I did come up short in that match, it was such a good opportunity, and I hope that more opportunities can come out of that in the future. But if they don't, like, I got that opportunity, and that's all I can ask for is a chance.
Man, it's incredible how like humble you are. Can I just point that out? Like how incredibly humble you are, despite how much you have achieved professionally. There are so many people that go there who some people who are just afraid of even trying to get their dreams off the ground, right? They live in that fear. They don't even try because they're afraid of failure. They're afraid of quite frankly, just looking bad, I guess. And the fact that in so many ways you have achieved like your childhood dream, right? And you are killing it, by the way, right? And the fact that you're just like so grateful and you're so gracious and you're so patient with crazy fans like myself and my daughter, right? We'll say enthusiastic fans, right? Enthusiastic fans.
I I always love talking to you guys, and I love talking to all my fans. So it's never any sort of bother to me. I love talking to everyone. So please
Right.
keep coming up and talking to me at shows. I love it.
You got some diehard fans too, by the way. Like, I know you already know that because one just left the room, but like, there are some other people. Like, we go to places and they're just like, whoa, whoa, you know. I'm just like, man, these guys. With that being said, and this is one thing that I can say I love about the Rad Pro, especially, is it kind of gives you that taste for the other side, right? That whole taste for a different part of yourself you may have never seen before, right? Probably might not even be the kind of person you ever thought yourself out to be, right? Um, would you agree with that? Like the whole Rad Pro thing?
Oh yeah, like Eyeless is so different than Shannon, and
Right.
I never would have thought that I would be able to, pull something like that off. But I somehow was able to channel my inner, creepy doll, you could say.
Right.
And
The dark.
when we first started doing Rad Pro, I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to do it, that I wouldn't be able to pull it off. But I went out there, gave it my best shot, and was like, okay, this is working. And now I love Violet. I think she's so fun. She's so unique and just obviously, like I said, so different than
Right.
what I'm used to doing. And that was a huge risk, and I took it, and now I have a whole other side of me that I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't taken that risk of, doing eyeless.
Right. And it's like the I guess so for the uninitiated, right? Especially yourself, you'd be uninitiated in this. So like I have a ton of friends who are cosplayers. Shout out to Matches Malone. He has literally been by the side of dozens, hundreds of sick children in hospitals all over New England and beyond. So I have been very fortunate to be friends with that. I love you, Matches. Um, People who their entire life is being this other character, right? Where they, I mean, Matches is really Batman to me. He's my Batman. I love you. But I've been around these people who, like, they dress up as the Power Rangers or this or that or whatever else, right? Myself, I'm the Joker. 100% the Joker. And it, for me, when I become the Joker, and I don't want to do the laugh because my daughter will not be happy with me. She hates when I turn into the Joker. But when I become the Joker, for me, it's almost therapeutic because I feel like for me personally, there's like that little darkness that's in me, um, that's just like dying to get out in the world. I can't be that darkness normally because I have to be, Mr. Evans, and I'm a process systems application support specialist for a life science company. All right. So I have to be, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
guy. So I get to be this other person. But I don't see how it would translate maybe the same for you because you're not in the, I mean, you got the school. Obviously you got to be very professional in school.
hmm
But could you crack that egg for me a little bit and just let me know, like, Eyeless, did you have to invent that or is that within you?
So Eyeless was all Scott's idea. He's the
Okay.
one that presented the character to me, and I don't know, I kind of asked him like what like who is Eyeless? And he gave me like kind of like his vision, but then at the same time was like, but however like you interpret that, like
Right. You
make it
fill in the
come to
blanks.
life. Like he gave me the vision, but then like her look and all that, it's kind of like I pictured okay, like almost doll-like, which is why I do the two braids. initially, like her first look was kind of like Wednesday Addams vibes.
Mm.
Then like as she got like darker, that kind of switched to more like creepy doll. And then like the last show when she was challenging for the championship, that's when like the all white came out. Like
Mhm.
and yeah, I just try to like keep that block out all emotion, I guess, when I'm eyeless, because she's very just like straight face, focused. So, when I'm wrestling a Shannon, I like love to feel every emotion I get, like from the fans, from just like my opponent. I take in all those emotions and let that kind of like show naturally. Whereas eyeless, I try to like block all of that out instead. So I kind of like do the opposite and just keep my focus on one thing, and that's wrestling, winning, not necessarily like how I'm feeling in the moment. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes
yeah, it's
perfect
just
sense.
like it's a very different approach to
Of
it,
course.
and I feel like that's just kind of what I do when it comes to eyeless is block out emotion and just try to be as creepy and as doll-like as I can.
And it goddamn works. You're doing a great job, by
Thank you. I have
the
a lot of
way.
fun with it. Like I said, it's so different than what I'm used to doing. So
Right.
it's kind of like a breath of fresh air for me.
Right. Right. Because and and I've and I mean no disrespect by this when I say this, right? But when I've described you to people who are like, because JJ's always talking about you and how amazing you are and all this stuff, and people are like, well, who is this Shannon person, anyways? And to in my eyes, right? And once again, don't shoot me, but like you have the look of like the all-American girl. You know what I mean? Like the girl next door, like definitely a soccer player. Like if when I'm describing, I'm like, listen, like imagine American pies and like American flags and Fourth of July fireworks and like the girl next door who always played too much soccer. Like that's Shannon in my brain, right?
Pretty much, yeah, that
Right.
sounds about right.
So, when that's how I describe you to other people because they're like, well, "Who the hell? Why is your daughter so like what?" I'm like, "Listen, America, baby. What do you want me to tell you, right?"
Well,
So seeing Eyeless, I'm just like, this is incredible because it is so further from that as possible, and the fact that it takes so much to get there from there, right? For me, in my opinion, I'm not necessarily a Joker, right? I'm not really. I mean, I'm a guy in a Joker costume, but like that darkness is my natural setting. I have to go and become this happy person on the other side, right? So for me personally, it's so contrasting to see someone who's like the opposite of me, right? Someone who's so happy. I mean, you not to throw shade, but like you waved at our camera at EWA, and I was just like, yes, this is great, right? So like, I was like, that's Shannon. Like to me, that's you, right? You're that happy, like, not to say you don't have a bad day because everybody has a bad day, but like you're just that like, hey man, I'm here for a good time, right? And like me, I've had to like learn how to become that. You know what I mean? In my day to day life, I've had to learn how to become that. So like when I see you come over to the dark side, right? Just like, yes, all right, she can. This is great, man. Like, all right, she can she can put herself in that mode, even if it's for 2 hours or 3 hours or fuck. Like, she could put herself in that mode, and like, I feel like that kind of goes back to, I mean, something similar you said on the Rainbow Rumble, right? When or anybody who would have seen yesterday, the end of an era, right? The last match, you're wearing the sweater. I can't get it off my mind. The final match, baby, right? The guy always talked about, hustle, loyalty, respect. He talked about never give up. Um, he talked about so many things, and it was so much easier because there's a generation of wrestlers that look at him as a superhero. And what is close to is so like my name is Chris Evans. Most people think of the much more handsome, the rich guy who played Captain America. All right, let's be honest, right? You Google my name, you're gonna find Captain America, right? My only comeback is, well, I was in the real army and he pretended, so in your face, all right? How about that? I got nothing else. So, Mr. Handsome, right? I can't be Mr. Handsome, right? But someone like John Cena was like a real life superhero. He didn't just pretend like I know it was wrestling and no, no, no. Supermatch John, all right? He was a real hero to a lot of people, and it's so much easier for so many wrestlers. I mean, especially the last like couple of days, it's been all over the place. There's been so many wrestlers posted off. If it wasn't for this guy, I would have never gotten the ring. You know, he's your real hero, right? So what I'm saying is it's almost easier to follow in your hero's footsteps because you want to emulate them, right? And be like them. So that's got to be John for you, right? Like,
Yeah, I would say definitely John and also Mercedes. Like the way I put it is John Cena made me fall in love with wrestling, and then Mercedes made me want to be a wrestler. So I feel like between the two of them, like those are my heroes and those are the people that I look up to, and that's why I'm here today because I wanna be like them. They're my hero. Now I want to be a hero for some people.
there you go. I mean, I know you're here for at least one kid. I can tell you
There
that
we
one.
go.
Um, and you know, Mercedes is a hot button, and I have a controversial topic. Surprise! I think she's killing it. And I think if you don't like her, you don't get the point of wrestling. I'm sorry.
No, she is killing it. She's
Killing
always
it.
been killing it. I think she's one of the greatest of all time, and that is like my all-time dream match right there. So hopefully one day it can happen, and then me and her can kill it together.
There you go. You know what's funny is we got to there was I can't name names, but someone got JJ and I tickets. I'll message you the name later. Someone got JJ and I tickets to go to AEW. So it was very exciting because it was JJ's first AEW, and she got to see Mercedes fight for the Ring of Honor title that night in Boston.
Yes.
The someone's gonna kill me in the comments, but that
Puree?
the what?
Was it the Puree Championship? I don't.
Yeah, yeah. Because she was fighting against the interim for the real belt. She
Okay.
was the interim and she was fighting the original so she can get the real belt because they do the whole interim thing. Um, and I think it was like really cool for JJ to see like your hero, right? Because she was just kind of like, all right, I can get into this. I can like this, right? This is this is great. And she was like kind of shocked that like she was getting booed. And I was like, listen, sometimes wrestling fans are dumb and they don't get the point of wrestling sometimes. Um,
I mean, hey, Eyeless was getting booed last week. You know what
right.
happens.
You
You can
get
be great
to,
and still get booed.
you get booed. But I just want to say to anybody who wants to listen to this one that I think it's wonderful that that woman has all those damn titles because you know what she has to do eventually? Lose them. And guess what's going to happen when she loses them? Oh my god. You people are going to lose your goddamn minds and you're not going to shut up about it when she loses a belt. And guess what? That was the point, sir or ma'am, okay? Seth Rollins, he had the world heavyweight title for a year or whatever it was, and he built that up and he made it more prestigious. Um, and in my opinion, this is exactly what they're doing with Mercedes Moné. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely say so, yeah.
Would you love to either maybe women's title, whatever it is, and go one on one, chaotic style versus Mercedes Moné?
I mean, she's a Nepwa girl, she's a chaotic girl. I would love for her to come back and, show her how we do it.
Yeah, makes it sound like we are coming after Calvin Dumont at this point.
Yeah, you know what? I have my eyes set on him now, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I don't think Calvin's going to want to come on this podcast.
And it doesn't even have to be Calvin. Why don't I go win the heavyweight title and then Mercedes can challenge for the heavyweight championship? Why not that? You know, it could be any championship.
Yeah.
Yep. Or maybe we tag together. We go after the tag titles. Come after powers of influence. That could be cool too. So the
Yeah.
possibilities are endless. We just gotta somehow convince her to come back to chaotic.
So for me, one of the toughest things I had to do in my life was I got in an accident. And I know that it's kind of a small thing compared to what you went through, right? I was in a car accident. I broke my leg. I was unable to do anything. I was just stuck in bed for a long time. And my question to you is when you were out with injury, right? Had to be tough. How tough was it?
It was definitely tough. I mean, wrestling like kind of like is my life. Like I'm always thinking about it. I'm obviously doing it a lot, whether it's training or shows. So like every day I'm doing something wrestling related, even if it's just watching it. Like I'm every day something wrestling happens in my life. And then when I got injured, all of a sudden like that's all gone. I'm not training anymore. I'm not wrestling on shows anymore. So it was a very hard adjustment, especially at first, and like I did eventually like kind of like accept it and almost like get used to it, but it's still like it's not easy. And I would try to like go to training and whether, I can watch class and learn by like listening to feedback, or we have a gym at the school. I can use the gym to do my PT. And I would try to go to like the Chaotic and Rad Pro shows just to watch and support my friends. And it was still tough, like watching my friends wrestle and knowing like, "Ugh, I can't do it, but I really want to." So that was definitely a tougher time to like, stay happy and all of that. But like I knew, okay, I'm gonna be out for a while, but this is an injury I'm gonna come back from. It's not a career-ending injury. So it's like I knew even though it's gonna be over a year, I know I'm gonna be back eventually. So that was kind of like my like mindset was like I'll be back. I just gotta like work towards it. So I kind of just use that to put in the work, do all my PT, um, really just stay on top of everything so that I could come back as soon as I can, but also like as healthy as I can. I didn't want to rush it, come back too soon, and then, re-injure myself, have to go through that again, because I don't need to go through that again. Once is more than enough. But no, that was definitely like probably like one of the toughest times to get through, but I tried my best to stay positive, especially in the early days right after surgery. It was tough because it's very painful and, all of a sudden you can't walk anymore and it's just such a weird feeling like not being able to walk and do all these things that you normally don't even think about, you just do it. But as like I got closer and closer, it got easier. I got happier as I knew like, I would make progress or like reach a goal. For instance, I'm on crutches for a while. Okay, now I'm off crutches. And now the next thing is now I'm out of the brace, or I can start running again. I can start jumping again. I can start, getting in the ring and doing non-contact stuff like running the ropes. Okay, now I can do like a little bit of light contact. So I would just try to like take every little win I could to like, keep me going. But no, I'm much happier now that I'm wrestling again than I was when I wasn't wrestling. But yeah, I kept pushing and I just would think about the light at the end of the tunnel and I made it. So now I'm back and now I'm here and now I'm feeling great.
See, and that's wonderful to hear because I just always admire your spunk, right? Your positivity, the ability to just look at the situation and see the best of things. I know for myself, it was super difficult. I ended up playing a lot of video games the first time in my life. I mean, for the first time in a while. I was doing all kinds of things that I didn't necessarily have the ability to do before because I just never had the time. You know what I mean? And it's great to hear that you just kept a positive mindset no matter what was going on.
Truly do just have to take it day by day and like take the little wins and because like your injury too, it's a long road and you're not gonna like get better overnight. So you just, take each little win you can get, set short-term goals so that way you eventually can reach your long-term goal. And I find that's the best way to do it, is to really just break it up.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but for me, I
Hmm.
just it was rough, right? I'm used to being able to do everything by myself, and now I'm having to ask my 10-year-old to help me to get the milk.
It's it's humbling, like having like have people help you do the simplest things. It's very humbling.
So, with it being 2025, almost 2026, more majority of us live on social media, right? I mean, this is going to be posted over our social media. Here's a new kind of philosophy that I've been trying to use for myself, and I've been trying to teach other people, and I've been trying to, even get my kids involved in this one. So, hopefully, I'm gonna share this with you. Is what I'm saying. So, when it comes down to it, right? We as human beings, right? We have our social media. You pick your poison. You go out there in the world and you choose which one you're gonna create a post, and that post is marginally speaking representative of you in some way, right? You you put this post out there, you share this thing, and you want people to like it, and you say to these, essentially what you're saying to these people is, hey man, I'm putting something of myself in this world out there, and I want you to like it. But in order for you to actually publish that, normally you have to like it first, right? You have to be confident in what you're placing out in the universe. So, with that being said, I challenge everyone to think about that and then realize the next time that they want people to like them as a person, that they need to realize that they should like themselves first and foremost. Um, what do you thoughts?
I think that's a great point. I mean, you said it best, like we post on social media like our best selves. And that's who we need to like see in ourselves, is our best selves. And also just the fact that like not comparing yourself to what you see on other people's social medias, and remembering they're also posting their best selves. Like they might seem like they're perfect. They're not. No one is. So I think that is a great point to bring up.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a little different than the average question you get asked on a podcast about wrestling, right?
No, I like, changing it up a little bit because I've answered about John Cena being my favorite wrestler a lot of times, so it's nice, maybe we'll change the pace.
Thank you. I mean, there's so many different questions that some people could be answering. And to be fair, you've been on many podcasts. So if anybody really wants to go back and hear all the fluff questions, they can hit those podcasts, or they could, go back to JJ's Rainbow Rumble maybe, and listen to her ask questions about things like you in Paris. In other topics, something that I don't really bring up too often is that I actually am an ordained minister, and I'm currently working on putting together a church and getting a place for my flock of sheep, right? But something I talked to Luke about recently was the idea of getting a church and then maybe even using it, opening it up for places on certain days for them to have a wrestling show, right? I mean, what would be better than to use that space on a Monday or Saturday, just to open it up to you guys.
Oh, I think that would be pretty cool, wrestling in a church. You don't see that too often.
I mean, to be fair, you got things like HOG wrestling.
Yeah,
Um, they're always in a church, right?
yeah,
But doesn't really happen too often here in New England. So
that'd be pretty cool.
yeah, no, I certainly agree. I think it would be fun,
Yep.
just not on Sunday.
No, that might not be the best time.
Or, I mean, I don't think it wouldn't be the worst thing if we just brought it all together.
Hmm. You know what? Combine the two. Why not?
Is there something that you might have, like when it comes to professional wrestling for you, is there something, some kind of like advice you could give to someone, or maybe some insight on some struggles you might have had?
Hmm. I think one thing for me is just maybe, oof, I guess enjoying the moment in a way. I guess what I mean, I don't know if that's putting it the right way, but what I mean by that is doing, growing up playing soccer, basketball, track, like I've always thought of sports as being like you're laser focused. Like you put on that game face, like zoned in. But with wrestling, like you don't necessarily want to have that game face all the time because you want the fans to connect with you and you want them to resonate with you and just, going out there, game face, focus, they're not necessarily going to resonate with you like that. So, I guess enjoying the moment, like I said, like I tried when I'm trying to really let my emotions show. Um, and that was something, especially when I first started, that was really hard for me to do. I do feel like I've been able to do that more lately and really kind of like taking those emotions, let them show. But especially when I first started, like I was just so focused on like, the wrestling aspect of it and not just enjoying it. Like when I'm feeling happy, like letting that show. And I do think I have improved on that a lot and I do enjoy it more, but there's also like the aspect of, being hard on yourself, watching matches back and being like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Because we're all our worst critics. And something like a match of mine that someone else might think is amazing, I might watch it back and be like, oh, I was awful in that match. I could have done so much better. Um, I think that's kind of like something that pretty much every wrestler could agree with is just, you're hard on yourselves and you don't have to be so hard on yourself. You can watch a match back and be like, yeah, I did a really good job in this match and not pick apart every little thing that could have been better. Um, so like I said, like just enjoying myself and just like letting the process happen and not tearing myself apart and just thinking, yeah, like you've come a long way, Shannon, and you did really good. So I feel like that's kind of what I struggle with in a way, but also I have become a lot better at that, especially since coming back from my injury. I have like a new appreciation for it. So I've really like have done a better job at just being grateful that I'm wrestling and not trying to, pick apart what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I'm sure when I watch this back, I'm going to watch it back 1,000 times and I'm going to pick myself apart and I'm going to say, oh my God, I'm such an idiot and wonder why I even tried in the first place, right? Um,
And I'm sure I'll look and be like, what was that answer? Why did I say that?
But um, what was your actual first match back in the ring? I'm very curious because like every time I see a different company, they're like, "Oh, Shannon LeVangie, she's back," right? And it's like, okay, well, but my brain sometimes can't reconcile it. Like, which time was your actual first bet time back in the ring?
It was the Chaotic Countdown in July when I entered at number one.
okay, so yeah, that makes more sense. Sometimes it's hard to keep that all in my head properly just because so many different companies will be like, oh, Shannon's coming back. And it's like, wait, what?
Exactly. Yeah, there's
Right. And there's nothing wrong with those other companies saying it because you're returning to them for the first time.
yeah, I'll still sometimes see posts where it's like Shannon returns and I'm like, well, I've been back for a while, but no. July 11th, I think was the date. The Chaotic Countdown, which is their Royal Rumble. I entered at number one, and that was my official return.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's like, okay, there's other companies.
No, exactly. Yeah, it is a return.
It's a return, just not. It's your return to that to that company for the first time in a while, just not in wrestling in general.
So you were kind of talking about how you're like a bit of a student of the game. what is it exactly that you
Mhm.
watch to become that student? What I've heard a million wrestlers talk about the different things that they watch on a regular basis to keep themselves fresh. So what do you watch?
Let's see. So, like I said, I love Mercedes, so I love watching her. Especially since I've started wrestling, I do watch a lot of indies. I love watching my friends wrestle, honestly. Like, one, just to be supportive, but also those are people that I'm gonna find myself wrestling one day if I haven't already. So it's good seeing what they can do, knowing that, all right, one day I'm probably gonna wrestle them. What am I gonna need to do against them? What's gonna work with them? Um, so I definitely, because I didn't watch many indies before I started wrestling. It was mostly just WWE I watched, which I still do watch. But I definitely do watch a lot more indies now, especially ones that like my friends are in. And just because, yeah, like especially being a wrestler now, that's who I'm wrestling. Those are people that I'm gonna be involved with, so it's good to know what they can do. And when it comes to like I guess for WWE, AWI, I said Mercedes. I love Bailey. She's another one of my favorites and always has been. So I'll watch her. I do like Alexa Bliss. I used to like not be a huge fan of her, but now I kind of stole her finish, the Twisted Bliss, and I do that. So like, I gotta give her credit there. Um, then obviously John Cena, I watched him all the time. Loved watching Randy Orton. He's also great. Um, but yeah, those are kind of like some of the people I love watching. And now it's a lot more indies that I tend to watch too, just for my own personal wrestling journey.
So what you're telling me is that uh, not only are you watching people that you admire and respect from the past, but you're keeping an eye on any future opponents, right? And I think that's fantastic because it's genius strategy, quite frankly. Because you can just, you're scouting that person. You're able to see into their world, so to speak, right? You're able to get a grasp on what they do, what they don't do, their limitations, their expectations. You're able to. I'm just saying, like it's a pretty clever thing to do.
Yeah, especially if like a match gets announced, I've never wrestled that person before. I make sure I go watch a match or two of theirs. Okay, what can they do? I don't know. I might not know anything about this person when the match is announced, but I'm gonna make sure when I get into that match, I know what they can do. I know a little bit about them. That way I know, what I need to do to beat them.
Yeah, I mean what they do, what
What
they might
do
be
I not
doing.
want them to hit me with? What do I need to avoid?
It's genius. It's just genius. It's clever.
I mean, I can certainly feel the passion running through you at this point. Like it just seems like it's electricity, right? Just always ready to go.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, even just like when I got into it, I've never like been so passionate about something as I am wrestling. Like, obviously, like, I loved, soccer, I loved basketball, track, like, all that, but I kind of would just like I had fun and I did it, but I wasn't passionate about it. I never watched soccer like professionals playing growing up. I remember everyone on my team would be like, "Did you watch like the big game?" And I'm like, "No." Like I just wasn't passionate. Like I loved playing and had such an amazing time, but I wouldn't go like the extra mile for it. And then wrestling, when I started watching it, just instantly fell in love. And then when I started actually doing it, I just loved it so much, so passionate. I remember because when I first started, that was kind of like towards the end of COVID, so I was doing school online at that point, and I would come home afterwards since I wasn't like in dorm. Yeah, I went to Syracuse my first year and then transferred. So this was my second semester, which was all online. So I stayed home instead of dorming there. And I remember I'd go to training and I'd come back and like my mom would like wait up just to ask me how it was. And I remember her saying I'd always just have like the biggest grin on my face. Like she'd never seen me like so excited about anything or just like talking about anything. I just instantly was so in love with it, like so passionate about it, wanted to like go to like when I first started, I would try to go to every class I could and do everything I could to be involved, be around it. And I like even what I've been around for almost 5 years now since I started training, which is wild. Um, but I still feel that love for it. I still feel just as passionate for it. And I never dread wrestling. Like, sometimes I'd have those days like, oh, I don't feel like going to like soccer practice tonight. I don't feel like, running this race because I'm just not in the mood. But like, I'm always down to wrestle. Like, I'm always ready. I'm always excited. And yeah, it's just that's my happy place. And even when I was out injured, like as much as like it kind of hurt me to like watch wrestling knowing I can't do it, that was also like my safe space and it like comforted me watching it. So it's like, okay, it is a little bit tough watching it, but I knew that like I would go crazy if I didn't, go to like these chaotic shows and watch them and like still see all my friends from wrestling. So there is that like level of comfort that it had for me even when I couldn't do it. So, yeah, wrestling just, it really is like therapy for me. It makes me happy, it comforts me, and I'm just so passionate about it.
That's a wonderful sentiment, right? There's so many. I've talked to so many wrestlers, and they've told me all their different responses to that. Whether it's their passion or wrestling is their therapy, right? And it's so incredible to see it. I see it today. I'll see it when I watch this back. I'll see everybody will see it every time they see you. This undeniable positivity, this absolute happiness to be around and inside this incredible industry, right? And it's such a ball of positivity that it's hard for me not to kind of get swept up in it when talking to you, to be honest with you. It's and hopefully people when they watch this it resonates with them as well, you know? Like hopefully it shines through.
Yeah, I mean, so I've only done the one silly announcing thing, and it was incredible. But the feeling I got when I was in that ring, I can't describe it, and I don't think that there's a word in the English language that can actually describe it, right? I don't think there's a way to explain it to other people. Um, you got to kind of just live through that moment, and fortunately, I've had that time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like you can't explain it to someone who like hasn't done it or like isn't that's not like their passion, that's not their world. It's so hard to explain, but I feel like that's a great way to put it. Like you can't explain it. That's just how you describe it.
And the most difficult part about it is, I went to the Art Institute of Phoenix to get a bachelor's degree in digital filmmaking and video production. So, you know, the feeling that I got when I was in that ring for those 5 minutes was honestly the same feeling I get anytime I'm behind a camera, right? And you just can't explain that to people. Like you have to be, I don't know, you just got to be part of that.
Yeah.
Right. You got to be part of that to just truly understand. And the best way I can describe it to people, and I don't want them to think I have got a big head just because I got in the ring one time, is that I just felt at home, right? I don't. There's like these inanimate objects, but they just they fill me with this sense of like warmth and comfort that I didn't know.
I agree. I agree.
And it's just I don't know, the words just never come out right when you try to explain these type of things to people, but I'm certainly attempting my best at this point.
It's a great feeling and it's addicting, really.
Yeah, I can say I felt like some kind of I don't know, I don't want to say the word junkie. I mean, that's a bit harsh, but I definitely felt ready for more as soon as it was over, right? JJ and I have been talking about going to the Beyond Wrestling for Christmas. I don't know if it's going to happen because I think it's going to be a 21 plus event, so I'm not exactly sure if it is, then she can't go in there. But me myself and I have been kind of dying to get back into that ring and do it one more time and to maybe do it a little better too because I feel like I could have done it better. But the addicting part about it, it's the adrenaline. Just it just really gets you pumped up and gets you going.
Yeah. Yeah, like from day one when I started training, I'm just like, yeah, this feels right. Like I said, it feels comforting and it just it feels right. And I think that's kind of like probably what you kind of felt like.
Exactly, that's exactly how I felt. It felt at home, right? It just felt like a comfort. I don't know. It's just how do you? I don't. There's no words. I mean, I said this 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 more times. There's no words in the English language to describe um, the emotions, the adrenaline, the feeling you get. And here I am, just some moron who was in there for 5 seconds pretending to be something special. But it's just like um, it's at least I get to talk about it with people like you who have actually done real things with your lives and can kind of articulate it with me and validate it in some kind of way, you know?
Oh yeah, like that's where I'm happiest. That's where I feel at home and I completely understand like what you're saying, where you're coming from, and I feel like the more that I'm in the ring and the more I wrestle, the more I feel comfortable and at home.
Yeah, speaking about trying to find a home, I think I'm going to Nepal. So, well, I've decided to go to. I should say that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've said this in a podcast or two on a previous occasion, but I've decided that I want to get back into shape. Right, makes sense.
Yep.
Then, in 5 months or so from now, when I'm in proper shape and ready to go, then I'm gonna attend to be a student. Right, so I'm gonna be a student of NEPLAW. And, I'm very excited to be there because of people like you who are always so welcoming.
That's that's very exciting. It's the place to be and it's a great atmosphere. The training's great, the trainers are great, students are great. So if you're gonna start training, that's the place to go.
Right. And, I've talked to many people who are Nepwa, and they've always seemed to be very courteous and very kind to me. They've always been very welcoming, and not to say that I wouldn't go to some other places, but just the Nepal folks have just been so welcoming, right? And they seem so positive, and I just feel like I might
Hmm.
be. Yeah, because no, not to throw shade at any of the other wrestling schools, right? Because quite frankly, there are other ones out there, right?
No, there's lots of great ones.
Yeah, so I mean, there's other good wrestling schools out there, and I just I feel like I have a connection with the folks at Nepwa, so um, and it may not be the closest school to me at this point, but um, and I may not be able to go there as often as I'd like to, but I'm
Hmm.
gonna give it my best. You've had some really great feuds in your life with different people, but for me, I feel like it was, I wouldn't say the most exciting, but maybe the most compelling for you versus Mecca. That entire feud. What are your thoughts of your time with Mecca?
Yeah, no, that was a very like fun feud. Like Mecca, he's great. He's a great wrestler. Didn't have a great attitude though, and but despite not getting along with him, I did respect him very much as a professional wrestler. And when I did, beat him, and he kind of like gave me that handshake, gave me that respect, it meant a lot to me. It really did, because he's great, and it showed that okay, like even though we didn't get along, he sees something in me. So I was grateful for that as well.
You had to beat him to earn his respect.
Exactly. And you know what? I feel like that's how like in wrestling, that's when you get the most respect, and sometimes that's where the best friendships come from. I mean, Paris and I were like, we were tag partners, we're best friends now. We were rivals for a very long time who didn't get along. We beat each other up a lot, but that's where the best friendships come from sometimes.
Yeah, earning respect, and I can see how going through that with Paris would make you two
Hmm.
respect each other, and even right. I mean, I could see how it's validating in so many ways, right? To go through that feud and earn that man's respect at the end.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you: do you have a way of like recharging your batteries? Because you go and you're doing all these crazy feats of doing all these crazy feats, right? Just so many things. You do so many things. Is there a way after that you just kind of recharge your batteries, or?
Not really. And I feel like most of the time when I do those big jumps or like I took that big fall through the door, like I'm wrestling the next day. Like there I probably should be like getting in a routine and letting my body rest. But no, the truth is usually like the next day I'm off wrestling somewhere else. And I remember when I did fall off the ladder through that door with tacks, that night I drove up to Maine and then I wrestled in Maine the next day at EWA. Um, I think I think EW I think that was the same weekend. Maybe I'm mixing them up, but I think that was the back-to-back weekend. And then like I know when I jumped off like the balcony before, and then I think that same night I got skewered in the head. The next day I was at Focus Pro. Um, so there really isn't anything I do in particular to like recharge myself, but I feel like that's a weekday thing. Weekends, I'm like go go go. I mean, sometimes I get like days off in the weekend, which is nice. But it always seems that whenever I do those crazy things, or like those are my busy weekends, it always seems to be. So then the week will be when I'm like, okay, let's take a little break today, rest, let your body recoup. But I think not luckily, but like in those moments, the adrenaline's going so much that like you just don't think about it and you just do it and then it happens and you're like, "All right, I'm good. I'm still standing. I'm still living." And that kind of just helps you get through it.
Now you don't. You said you're not recharging your batteries. Do you do anything to give yourself like a little treat or something here or there, just to be like, you know, you put yourself through, you put your body through this. I deserve a treat.
Well, of course. Of course. All the time. I I probably don't even need to do anything and I'm like, "Yeah, I could go I deserve an ice cream or I deserve a cookie." I don't have to jump off something crazy to do that.
Makes sense. Do you have anything in like particular that you go for, a special thing?
Hmm. Let's see. I love chocolate chip cookies. Oh, M&Ms I love. Love M&Ms. Yeah, I know. Like M&Ms and Hershey's are like my favorite candy. Like honestly, it also depends on my mood, you know? It can change depending on my mood. Like with ice cream, I like a lot of flavors. It all depends on what I'm feeling. I feel like the most consistent one I like is cookies and cream. Um, but no, sometimes it just depends on what I'm feeling. Sometimes I'm in an ice cream mood, sometimes I'm in a cake mood, sometimes I'm in a cookie mood. I love them all. So, yeah.
You know, I love that you talked about like how you didn't have like one specific thing. And I spent 10 years at the Texas Roadhouse, and I saw so many people who would come in like once a week and order the exact same meal over and over and over again. And no shade to those people. They know what they want, they're going to go get it, and that's fine. But I feel like with your personality and the personality of like most of the professional wrestlers I've met, due to the fact that their lives are so, I don't know, tumultuous and busy, they kind of look at things like a buffet, right? That you just kind
Yeah.
of have this buffet at your fingertips, and life is a buffet, and you get to try all these new things all the time. Like that's me. That's the way I look at life. Like I think, hey, that's one of the things that I don't like about tribalism, right? So we have all the wrestling tribalism where someone's like, oh, well, you can't like this company and that company, and I'm your. Listen, I'm gonna like it all, right? It doesn't matter what it is. If I find it enjoyable, I'm gonna watch it, right? Or if it's you just you got to change things up. You gotta try new things. You gotta look at life a little differently. You just, to me, I don't believe in the whole tribalism of it all. I don't believe in the idea of you're only allowed to have this one thing and you can't have anything else for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you're a horrible person. And what were you thinking, right? Uh, maybe I'm talking for way too long here, but like, what do you think? Do you believe in the idea of having
Switch it up a little bit.
choices, or
Usually I'm
what do you
jumping
what are
off
your
of high
thoughts?
platforms at breaking point. I fell off a high platform that day, I switched it up. I didn't jump, I fell.
Right. You got to keep everyone on their toes and keep them guessing and keep that variety in life as always. Now, for something else,
I have
shameless
not. I've heard about
shameless
it for
self
sure, but I've
promotion
never
here. But
actually
have you
done
ever
it.
done DDP yoga? So, for anybody who doesn't know, right, the Root Awakening Kava Bar, normally in Worcester, Massachusetts, we've hosted DDP Yoga. They host another couple. If you want to do more traditional yoga, they host that as well. So, look up the Root Awakening Kava Bar. But for any professional wrestlers out there who would like to attend a DDP yoga class, it is free for you and $30 for everybody else. If you ever want to join us on a Sunday morning and do some yoga.
I should stop and rest a bit more than I am. So maybe I'll, try to do that more in the future. 'Cause yeah, I don't want to run myself down, but it's working now, but I definitely do want to, be cautious of that and not do too much that I can handle.
Yeah, I mean, maybe find, I mean, you seem to be doing pretty good, but as time goes on, maybe you'll find something. So, I mean, from the experiences I've had, from everything I've heard, New England Pro Wrestling Academy, NEPWA, as I butchered the name, seems to be such a great supportive place. Would you agree on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. They're amazing and from day one, I've been super comfortable around everyone and have always known that okay, if I ever have a problem or anything these are people I can go to for help and I've never once questioned whether or not I could do that.
So my question for you is simple. Um, what would you say to any wrestler who maybe feels like they don't have that kind of support structure? Like maybe they feel like they need to find someone. Like what would your advice be to someone who's not in NEPWA and they need more support in the wrestling industry itself?
Hmm. I think wrestling in general, everyone is a support system in a way. We're all in this community together. It's so different than like any other community, whether it be sports or acting in theater or whatever it is. Like we're all in something together that's so unique. And there's always somebody out there willing to listen, willing to help, even if it's not somebody like you're super close with. Like for instance, like when I got injured, like so many people like reached out to me who like I don't even know that well. Like maybe I wrestled them once on a show. Maybe I've never wrestled them and I just like briefly said hi to them at a show. But like we're all in this crazy world together and everyone's always willing to help each other, willing to listen. So like even if you feel like you're like kind of down and like not in a great space, like there are so many people willing to help and it might be scary to like reach out and ask for that which is like normal. Like it is kind of scary reach out and ask for help, but there's so many people willing to help and I think just yeah, like don't be afraid to ask and it's easier said than done for sure. Um, but we're all in this together and yeah, I feel like that's just what I would have to say for that.
Yeah, and that's great. It's wonderful to think that regardless of lines, people would be there for each other. I say for fans, you could always come to me.
Yeah, and so especially on the indies, like so many wrestlers, myself included, love like talking to fans and like interacting. So like I'm sure there's wrestlers out there too, like would be willing to listen. I know I would be like we love with like being with our fans and talking to them, getting to know them. So even if you're not a wrestler, like there are wrestlers out there too who like appreciate your support so much and want to give back. And that is such a great way for us to do it. It's just by helping you in any way we can.
That's really all I had for you today. Once again, I have to say thank you so much for being here today. Like, it means the world to me, to JJ, to have this opportunity to sit down and have the conversations with you. Obviously, be ready to be, um, you know, we're going to be tagging you in 1,000 things. I'm sure you're used to that by now. But I just had to tell you how eternally grateful I am that you were to come in today and have this conversation with me.
No, thank you for having me. I've loved, getting the chat, and these are definitely like different questions and topics that I'm not used to like, talking about on podcasts, so I had a really good time.
See, and I was hoping somebody would say that because like we could talk about wrestling and just wrestling, and but for me, it's always fun to kind of change it up a little bit and put some of those little fluff questions on the Rainbow Rumble, right? Let the kid have more of those kind of questions, and as time progresses, we'll have more and more thoughts of the different types of professionalism and psychology behind the ring and other professions. To be quite frank, I know I could say for this household, we cannot wait to see you, whether it's the WWE ID, WWE, and NXT or Ring of Honor or something. We're definitely hoping you follow in someone's footsteps. Like
Hopefully one day.
Ricky Smokes, right? Absolutely loved. This house loves Ricky Smokes. Swipe right, baby, all day. If Ricky ever sees this, thank you so much for being such a courteous and kind person to the King family. From the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate you.
Yeah, Ricky, someone who I've trained with since day one when I started, so that would be great to get to follow him to evolve.
Yeah, we'd love to see you on Evolve. Come on, all day. Shannon LeVangie on Evolve, of course. For anybody looking to get more of Shannon LeVangie, she has some dates coming up. This is not going to drop for a while, so obviously you can always see her at Beyond Wrestling. You could see her at Chaotic and Rad Pro. Um, hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So the next show I want to say is January 17th.
Something like that.
And then I want to say there's going to be a show in Lincoln, New Hampshire for Chaotic at the end of January.
Yeah.
Um, so don't forget about Focus Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
That is going to be January 11th. It's a Saturday down at the Widowmaker Brewing Company in Braintree, Massachusetts. Um, Go ahead and make sure to purchase some merch when you see the Relentless one, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, make sure to support your local indie wrestlers. Shannon is an amazing person. Um, and hopefully you learned a little bit about her today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
But yeah, get your tickets now. See her everywhere you can. You will not be disappointed. And you will be entertained to the max. I guarantee it, my friends. There is nothing better than a Shannon LeVangie wrestling match, to be quite frank with you. It's pretty spectacular. I am absolutely stretching for time because I have no clue what else to say at this point. So, I guess that should really mean that I am out. So, yeah, guys. All right, well, since I got nothing else, once again, thank you so much for your time. You are amazing. You are relentless. You are the troublemaker.
Thank you. No, I had such an amazing time, so thank you for having me.
And I, for all the folks at home watching, have a nice day.